Shadows Unveiled. How a paratrooper turned lyricist forged a dark, defiant, and deeply personal heavy metal statement. There's a truth that only comes from living in the thick of the noise. The smell of diesel and cordite, the hush after an airborne op. The way days and nights morph into a single, sharpened edge. Shadows Unveiled, the third album from Gman Jams, carries that truth like a scar, obvious, unashamed, and never interested in being pretty. A U.S. Army paratrooper veteran, the 1% of the 1%. Gman Jams writes with quiet pride and lived conviction. His debut, New Reality, was a raw field report. Dislocation, political upheaval, injury and loss, the follow-up. No pacts between wolves and men. Sharpened into a concept album on the duality of man. Provider and predator, shepherd and sword. Now comes Shadows Unveiled. If the first two records were maps of a fractured world, this one burns inward. The lyrics move from observation to confrontation, from social critique to spiritual warfare musically. It leans heavier and grittier, slower riffs, atmosphere, pressure valve melodies, and moments of vulnerability buried inside defiance. Blind to the blade. The warning. The album opens with an ominous vision, crowds marching in chains, eyes sewn shut, cheering their own destruction. It's political, existential, and chillingly timely. Stand or fall. The oath. A paratrooper's anthem of resistance, a refusal to kneel, defiance dressed as him. It's immediate, militant, and built for fists in the air. Zone 66. The dogfight. A cover by Well 97459. A razor-edged cover inspired by a retro PC game. Gman Jams honors Well 97459's original while pushing it harder, turning it into a cinematic aerial strike against tyranny. A father's prayer. Monster in me. The confession. The emotional heart of the album. Unlike the outward-facing polemics elsewhere, this song turns the lens inward, an expecting father's plea to God and to himself after the army. A short fuse in the capacity for extreme violence sit beside tenderness and fear. The narrator prays not to be the monster his training or trauma could make him. Begging protection for the child he will raise, the rawness is bracing. It's where the record is most vulnerable and most human. Shadows Unveiled. The Unmasking. Born from a dream where a loved one became a black-eyed demon. Once deception is exposed, fear fades. The track is eerie, tense, and defiant. The album's spiritual core. The devil's masquerade. The deception. A velvet voice manipulator enthralls the masses while shadows swallow the sun. Slow and twisted. The record's fever pitch of righteous anger. The last word. The torch. A tribute written after the assassination of Charlie Kirk. Martyrdom sparks resolve. He spoke and he fell, but his sword remained somber, cinematic, and stirring. The sheepdog's last stand. The siege. The epic closer. Sheepdog's guardians hold the line against ravenous wolves. Its myth and reality fused, leaving listeners with a sense of deep sacrifice and stubborn hope. Musically, this album favors weight over speed. Mid-tempo grooves, ambient menace, cinematic solos, and gritty drums dominate. Zone 66 flashes with power metal energy while the devil's masquerade drags slow and sinister. This record sits where heavy metal meets political frustration and evangelical defiance. It will resonate with veterans, warriors, and listeners who crave music that's both unflinching and deeply personal. It will polarize too. Its calls to resist can be heard as both noble and incendiary. But that's its strength, art that provokes rather than placates. There's a spiritual through line in these songs. The battle is not only political or social, it's metaphysical. Gman Jams is explicit about his belief that the forces he opposes are not merely corrupt governments or deceptive ideologies, but spiritual malignancies that prey on grief and ignorance. His theological framing is not simply about winning an argument. It's about resisting a kind of soul-eating governance of the mind and spirit. That stance will attract and repel in equal measure. It's emphatically partisan in places, and it endorses defiance, even violent resistance as a last resort. A responsible reader should note that the music is an artistic expression of conviction and anger, not a policy paper. As art, it's valuable precisely because it refuses to sanitize those emotions. The music is not timid. It's meant to provoke. It's a record made to be played loud, read deeply, and argued about over beers in the best metal traditions. It wants to make you feel something and then, maybe, make you do something about it.